Oh, let me see. Oh, wait, I can't read.
This line of the prophecy in chapter 4 spoils everything about Deltarune's ending, and it probably flew over Susie's head. She can reflect on it all she wants, but it's true. This may sound weird, but isn't it weirder how different both Rorsay and Susie react? Rorsay is shaking and apologizing on the verge of tears, while Susie just shrugs it off. I found it very interesting, so I did some digging, and I think that not only does Susie not understand the prophecy, but we also have enough clues to figure out what it is. In this video, we'll break down 3 things: what the prophecy actually means, what it reveals about the soul, and why Susie can't fully understand it.
3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running.
We know the roaring is a disastrous event, right? I don't think it's that simple. See, we know the knight wants to start the roaring, and in my previous video, I explained why the roaring might be the key to finding Des, and that we can defeat the roaring by using the power of the soul's light. The soul would be used in the same fashion as what we saw in chapter 4, where the Titan was defeated once its barrier was down. We also know that the knight's weapon is very efficient in slaying titans and their spawns, like a comment pointed out. So it leads us to believe the knight's plan is to defeat the roaring after using it to dive deeper into the darkness to save Des. That begs the question, why would Rorsay be so worried about the tragedy? Well, remember why Rorsay got so sad and distraught earlier in the chapter. It was because he was hiding information about the prophecy from Susie. So imagine if the last prophecy had a deeper secret, one that Rorsay thought he would have to apologize and explain, but Susie interprets it differently and sees it as preventable. So what could that prophecy be? We know Chris can survive without the soul. At least we have seen it demonstrated by them playing the piano and also them waiting for us, so that we can roleplay as Tom and Jerry in the middle of the Sue's fan service. That infers that Chris doesn't have a soul, as we would have seen it somewhere or noticed it. Sure, Chris hides a knife in the dark world as we don't see it in the inventory. But a soul, that's not just an item. Rorsay literally calls it the culmination of your being. You can't just tuck that into a striped jumper. Wait, your being. Rorsay throughout this entire tutorial segment is mentioning buttons and keys that only the player knows, not Chris. It is quite possible that this soul is the culmination of not Chris being but us, the player's being. We control it throughout all of Deltarune's playtime, even when it has been taken out of the body. There is a problem though. The prophecy states quite clearly that it's a human soul. We are not a human in the lens of Deltarune, as Chris is referred to as a human, and we aren't a pixel art diagonal facing sprite, so what is going on? To understand where the soul comes from, we have to rewind to the beginning of the game, the Goner Maker. The first thing you see when booting up Deltarune is the soul being summoned as a voice leads you through the vessel creation process. People theorize this voice to be Gaster, or at least some entity that is of the same power level. But that's a whole can of pippus I don't want to open right now. Just know I believe he is involved. Instead, I want us for now to take a look at the soul that is summoned. I doubt it is Chris' soul as it was supposed to be put in a vessel. Could the vessel qualify as the human for the human soul? Well, no. It is called a Goner in the game files, like the ones from Undertale, which is how we got the name Goner Maker for this sequence. It's a bit dubious to assume that Goners, who are part of the Shattered by Time and Space gang, could double as humans too. You want to know what I think? From Undertale, we know human souls can come in different colors with different qualities. Red implies determination, but Chris isn't really a determined person, are they? They have a lack of achievements, sleep off in class, their life revolves around their brother, but we know one person who is. Frisk. Isn't it weird how the soul was summoned? Like it was calling from a different reality. Yes, the soul is most likely ripped straight from Undertale. This could explain why Chris doesn't have a soul. It could be something most humans have but not all due to their life circumstances, leading them to not have a defining trait. The same way a lot of us are juggling various problems and may not be able to focus on their own traits or talents. But make sure you at least take a break and grab a drink. In any case, I hope you are seeing how Susie may not understand all of this, but there is more. It being from Undertale makes sense because Gaster's origins tie back to that game. But why a soul with the trait of determination specifically? It's the only soul that has a player canonically, a being that surpasses Undertale and Deltarune's existence, who wouldn't find that very interesting. He is a scientist after all. By using an immersive experience for this entity that is called the player, he can observe the actions it takes and how it progresses through the experience. So what is the exact line of the prophecy that Susie does not understand? So what exactly is the line that Susie is getting wrong? Well, I believe there are two parts to the line: the nature of the soul and the banishing of the dark, both of which are easy to misunderstand. Something like, the soul banishes itself and the darkness away, as, I think, giving up our connection to the game by using our soul completely to stop the roaring is a really unique concept, which could be the ending Mr. Fox saw in his dream. Susie would interpret this line as Chris losing their soul and might be concerned or unsure of what it means for a human to lose their soul. Of course, Rolsey knows better. After all, to hear that prophecy, he would have to know the person who wrote it, someone who would refer to it as the human soul. Hence why Susie can't fully understand it, because it's not Chris's soul. But how would Rolsey even begin to explain that? You can't really blame Rolsey for not wanting to talk about this, can you? We have all kept secrets before. Maybe about our past, what we have done, even perhaps regarding our identity. But for Rolsey, imagine having to explain the soul situation to Susie, a friend who is already frustrated by the amount of information Rolsey hides. I doubt Rolsey even fully understands the situation of how the soul ended up with Chris and not the vessel. Probably why they frequently have conversations when we are forced to think about a different character. But at some point, we need to tell the truth. We need to be honest not only with others, but with ourselves. Just like when in the midst of the roaring, Rolsey will need to explain that we are not Chris. The ring of heaven's call. The earth drawing her last breath. Susie will need to come to terms that, well, she hasn't fully been friends with Chris, has she? The tale of hell takes crawl. The darkness creeping. But maybe, just maybe, it'll be okay. Because even if she didn't truly know Chris, the real Chris was still always with her in the dark. So to summarize so far, the Wingdinger himself brought us here to experiment as a scientist does. Because of that, the wording of the prophecy is not fully transparent to Susie, as Chris isn't the true owner of the soul, whether it be that Chris doesn't have a soul or it has just been replaced. Yeah, I just realized that a replacement is also a valid hypothesis. This misunderstanding leads Susie to think that Chris would lose their soul to seal all the darkness away. That still begs the question, who is the second voice? They clearly disrupted what Gaster had in store for them. But my dear viewer, and perhaps Discord server member, my fingers are tired from editing this video, so I will probably delve into that for the next video. Be sure to stay tuned for that by subscribing. Oh, by the way, I drew this video's thumbnail myself. Let me know if you liked it. See you later.